Welcome everybody, welcome to the Mobile IT Community of Interest. This is the July edition and joining us today is Harry Parnell, Head of Digital Delivery for projects at Balfour Beatty, along with Paco Luna, who's a BIM coordinator on the 530 Crossrail project. I'll introduce them in a second, but before we get there, I want to introduce the theme today, which is the use of augmented reality in construction with the HoloLens process. I'm Stuart Young, and once again, I'm pleased to introduce the monthly community of interest. We will be going through, Harry and Paco will take us through the slides individually and talk to us about the application of the HoloLens system on one or two of the projects. We'll have an opportunity towards the end to ask some questions, be them poll questions or from the floor. But first of all, thank you very much for joining us. I know a lot of you have probably joined us on these GoToWebinars before and are familiar with the system, how to use the controls, ask the questions and the polls, the follow-up survey. Everybody's currently on default mute because there's a lot of participants on the call. The right-hand side of the panel will hide automatically. Please do ask questions. We find them very useful and we're able to use the results of the questions and the suggestions that we get from people to improve what we do. So I'll now begin and I'll move into the first slide about the community. The community of interest has been running now for a few years, since January 2014. We've had lots of participants in the community in the past, be them owners, contractors, vendors, or even academia. And the aim is to deliver and showcase use cases, and also to get the perspective of the users across the whole project life cycle. We have various channels, these monthly meetings. We have some virtual live discussions, and of course we produce documentation and reports, and we also facilitate projects. Question I get asked occasionally is who's in the community. Well, the community it's made up of a number of organisations. I think 460 as it says there. It's a little bit more than that now. It's advanced. We operate in 43 countries around the globe, and we've had over 1,550 participants. We're mainly located, they've been mainly located in North America and Europe, but we're starting to see a shift now to the rest of the developed world, and including participation from South America and elsewhere. We are very pleased with the industry response so far, and we are continuously working to meet the needs of our members and participants. Quick announcement, we've got the FearTech Leadership Forum that's coming up in Austin, Texas in October. I'll mention that again at the end, but on the main presentation, I mentioned we've got Harry and we've got Paco. As I mentioned before, Harry is head of the Digital Delivery projects for Balfour Beatty, and Paco is a BIM coordinator on the Crossrail 530 project. I'll hand over to Harry. I think, Harry, you're going to lead in. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you very much, Stuart.
Okay, just hand over to you. You should have keyboard control now. Okay.
I'm not moving forward, Stuart.
Okay, let me just do that again. 1 second. How's that? No. 1 second.
No,
Right, try now. No.
Okay, Stuart.
I can advance the slides from my end if you like.
Or I can share my screen. I have them on my screen. Did have them on my screen.
Okay. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Can you see my screen, Stuart?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Harry Parnell. I work in Balfour Beatty. Balfour Beatty is a big, large infrastructure construction company, but me and Paco work in Balfour Beatty major projects. We're based in the UK and that, but we get involved in schemes over £35 million worth of value. Schemes with Highways England, Crossrail, the fantastic latest award of HS2. My team and department get involved in them schemes and infrastructure. It's great today to be part of that kind of the presentation, and I'll pass over to Paco Luna, who will introduce the C530 Woolwich Crossrail scheme.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this meeting. I'm the BIM coordinator in C530 project and Crossrail. Crossrail is one of the largest projects in Europe, I would say, and we are focused on the Woolwich station. So you can see this part. We are focused on 4 sites in this across the line. So we have 2 portals, and we have the station as well. Some figures about Crossrail. It's about 15 billion, 40 stations, 10 brand new stations, 42 kilometers of new channels, 80 million cubic meters of spoil, and 140 main contractor work contracts. The main station is divided in 2 boxes, West box and East box. East box is for intervention and evacuation in case of fire, and West box is for the public. So you can see here this big hall will be the ticket hall. The purpose of use this HoloLens was to show this precast beam, concrete beam. They are very large, 70 meters, very heavy, and it was a very complex installation. You can see pictures here from the day of the installation. We have a 4D model produced with Synchro software, showing the installation of the beams. I'm going to stop here because I want to explain you something. The 4D model was great to show the workforce, the managers, the traffic logistics, everyone was involved in this 4D in order to put all the information in. It's a very high detailed 4D model, but we were concerned about these services underneath the main crane, 11 tons main crane, and also we have an attenuation tank underneath, so the lorries and all the deliveries were stopping here to load the loads on the installation. You can see from here the sequence, and also we have some concerns about the client because all this residential environment is built, and the crane, this massive crane, can hit on the first beam delivery. You will see now in the video. Well, this is to show the logistics across the residential area. In the first beam installation was the most complex because the beam could hit this existing beam. You can see now when the beam is delivered, it was too close and too close to the existing building. So this 4D was great to show all this installation, but we wanted to go forward and use this information produced in Synchro and put it in the HoloLens. And well, sorry, you can continue and I will explain you better there.
Thank you, Paco. So what you've seen there, as Paco said, we had a 4D Synchro model, but what we wanted to do was look at how we could engage more with the client, with the local authorities, with the residents more on how we can get our story across to all stakeholders. Inside of Balfour Beatty, we have a scheme called My Contribution. My Contribution is a staffing scheme where we could put in ideas and actual processes which we can actually do to go forward. Will Benson, who is an agent and that kind of inside of Balfour Beatty, come up with the idea of basically, can we use the HoloLens to see the services underneath the crane mats down at C530? So that was his idea, but obviously we wanted to push that further forward in what else we could actually do. So we looked at basically the people that we wanted to engage with. So Balfour Beatty ourselves on the project, and obviously we was using Synchro software. So you can see there names of the people which were involved in the delivery of the projects, which we're going to show you in the next few slides. So before we get into the technology, obviously we want to look at the process. So down at C530, we have Bentley, Autodesk and Trimble models, all federated into an iModel, which gets uploaded into Synchro Pro. We then link in the P6 program activity work breakdown structure tasks into Synchro. We then upload it kind of that into SWP, the Synchro Works package, and then move that onto the HoloLens device. That was the process which we wanted to achieve, but at the moment in time and that, the technology at Synchro wasn't fully there and fully available. So what Synchro have done for us at the moment in time is develop bespoke applications which can get loaded into the HoloLens, that kind of thing, which can be different scenarios and different activities and different animations. So when we looked at the actual Microsoft HoloLens itself, some of you may know, some of you might not know. Basically, it's the HoloLens sort of Microsoft graphic computer, so you can see images and that kind of thing projected via the glasses itself. There's various things that kind of on the actual hardware itself. You've got an RGB camera, you've got some depth sensors, you've got kind of that speakers on there, you've got a projector, and you've got a tilt mechanism as well, so you can actually get movement out on site as well. At the moment in time on that, looking around to that different supply chain at Crossrail, everyone is basically sort of doing it inside of the office. So you can project and that kind of thing, the holograms via the Microsoft HoloLens actually into an office space and into an office environment. This is great and fantastic for inside, but Balfour Beatty, as we are kind of want to stretch it out further and actually take this process out into the real world. So the whole outcome was we wanted to take it out into the real world at 1-to-1 scale and overlay the full animation, in the 4D animation, into the real world. That was our goal, that was our task, and what we wanted to achieve at the beginning of this project working with Synchro. But the issue we had is there is no GPS. There is no geospatial positioning system on the HoloLens at the current moment in time. Hopefully, Microsoft in the future will introduce a GPS system on there to go forward. So in Balfour Beatty, I started my career as a on-site surveyor. So I put to all Synchro was, can we scan 2 free targets which are placed out in the construction zone, scan them targets to coordinate ourselves, and then we can then move away from them targets any way we want, because we've got the motion sensor on the HoloLens to actually view from any position, any location, out on site, to see kind of the 4D animations and the 4D visuals. So this gives us kind of in the process of, I wear the HoloLens, I go to site, I activate the application, it then asks me to scan number 1, Balfour Beatty construction, number 2, Synchro software as targets, to coordinate myself to the real world. That overlays the 1-to-1 scale model, and then I'm positioned to walk anywhere I so wish. So Paco, do you want to take over the next part?
Yep, thank you, Harry. Okay, so we tested on the first day on site. So we realized that the HoloLens had some limitation for construction. I think the HoloLens are more thinking for games, but it can be used for many purposes. But inside, we realized that with gloves, you cannot where the sensors didn't catch up when you tap. When you tap, you choose on the screen. You can choose options. Also, the hard hat is to be removed the harness, and you can't use it unless you have a chin strip. This is the sequence, so you can see the real context, and you can see the installation on place. These are the 2 targets, and this is a button to choose different options to activate the context with wireframe, solid, transparent, so it can be customized. Also, one of the first tests, we realized that we have, because you have the computer in your head, you move around very fast, so in the record mode, you have to move slowly. As you can see, it's a very clicky. This is another video, so you can see the services under the main crane. When you are on site and you are seeing this through the Googles, the impression is really good. It's like you are seeing the future. It's really cool to see this on place.
So thank you, Paco. So what you've seen there is a site engineer or site section engineer out on site reviewing the 4D sequence in the real world at 1-to-1 scale. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing what we've basically achieved there to try and push that forward. So amazing that Microsoft actually put it into their use of HoloLens demonstration video, which is on their YouTube channel at the moment in time as well. So what you've seen is in the top left, we've augmented the 3D model, the 4D sequence into the real world. You can see the residence buildings, and you can see kind of through that is a sequence kind of through that going to affect that kind of local residents. You can see the local park. You can see kind of through that the building to the right kind of through that, which looks like a church, but it's actually a pub. You can see kind of through that, obviously the temporary works, which has been installed as well. And obviously kind of that, we can see the underground utilities. So these things in basically merging the 3D, the 4D, and the real environment is where we're trying to push the boundaries at the moment in time to get the benefits and the value of reviewing this and checking it before it actually occurs and before it actually happens out on site. So here is kind of one of the site engineers on site, basically testing the HoloLens application. So you see kind of that he is wearing the hard hat, he has got the goggles on, but obviously kind of for that, we may need to look at more about the use of fingerless gloves. They are out there at the moment in time, but the use of fingerless gloves kind of for that to get the HoloLens to basically select certain applications and certain processes on the unit itself. Here in that kind of thing as well, because people basically tilt their head upwards to view it, that kind of, so the guy's holding onto his basically hard hat. We've now introduced that kind of thing, use of simple, say, as a chin strap as well, to basically kind of thing that link that kind of obviously to the chin, so when you turn your head up, the hard hat does not actually fall off the top of the head. Here is Alistair Geddes, that kind of in one of the client coordination meetings. Alistair Geddes and that kind of is the Balfour BT project director, who is very supportive in this and developing this application. And he sees a lot more kind of activities and a lot more processes we can do going forward. And we also had the client as well testing out the application in the office. So even though kind of you've got it outside in the real world in context, you can obviously still see it at one-to-one scale in the office as well. You don't get you get the out feeling being there, but you don't get the out with the real context and that kind of the real world with the residential building, with the park, and also kind of that with the other surrounding buildings, etc. So here kind of that obviously is a video during kind of the construction. So you see the crane's been delivered, then we can basically see in that kind of the crane and that in its location, and obviously seeing the sequence. So could we actually in the future kind of that verify and validate kind of the sequencing at certain times of day? Potentially possible. Kind of that. There's other aspirations there. So you can see some of the beams have been dropped in. So you see the beams being overlaid on top of the beams which have been installed. Could we look at potential as-built verification as well? These are certain things now with this technology and with this application. What we can do is just basically down to our imagination going forward. Paco?
Yep, thank you, Harry. So we are looking forward to try again the HoloLens. So we see this picture, we see this situation on the corridors, on the station, people printing out images from the 3D model and looking at the images from the corridor to make a better understanding of the services on the ceiling, because it's very complex. So we thought that maybe we can use the new Synchro app site application in order to see these services through the HoloLens. So you will able to see what is done in one color, what is remaining in another color, and also another contractor's services, just tapping on the HoloLens. So we are working now on this step, and I think very soon we will have a result of this. Okay, that's all for us. Stuart?
Do you want to take back control, Stuart?
Just 1 second. We've got a screen freeze.
So at the moment in time, that conference is looking at multiple applications and multiple things we can do. Is trying to standardise that kind of thing out on the actual applications. So if we can standardise on the applications, then we can look at the future purchase of more HoloLens units with a standard approach on what we can use out on site.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, thanks, Harry, and thanks, Paco. That's very comprehensive, and I'm sure for the contracting element that's joined us today, that will be hugely beneficial. and of course design. So many aspects of the construction process will take benefit from this. It's great and interesting to hear that the Microsoft organization has taken an interest in this as well, and is using what work you've done to showcase their product. I'm not sure, we've got some questions coming up which actually ask that question, but let's firstly go on to the poll questions, because I think we've got some poll questions here that ask the question about the current use and development of HoloLens on projects. So let's just launch the first one. Just give me 1 second. I need to just launch the first one here. So here we go. This is a simple yes or no. Does your company currently support the use of HoloLens? Big response here. Okay, thanks everybody for replying on that one. It's around about 50-50. Just give you one more second and I'll close that out and launch it. Okay. So we've got 48% said yes, 53% said no. Be interesting to see if there's any change in thoughts after today's session. Harry, what are your thoughts? Paco, any comments?
At the moment in time, that kind of thing, that is quite interesting, because it'll be interesting to find out actually, is that designers, contractors, maintainers, and having that extra split down. I don't know whether the yeses is on the contracting side of it, and the no's might be on different sort of either asset owners or designers there as well. So great to see kind of that lots of people are supportive kind of that in the development of HoloLens, because it is the way forward.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So the next question is, how many HoloLens hardware units do you have in your company? You got multi-choice there, 1, 3, 5, or more than 5. Well, as it stands at the minute, we've got around 60% are suggesting they've got 1, around 20% suggesting they've got 3, and around 4% 5, and 15% with more than 5. Goodness. Okay, I'll just close that one out and share that. I would say that's what I would expect. Harry, have you got any thoughts on that?
At the moment, I think it's from this webinar today. Obviously, the question was asked, and that kind of that to get people to support and that kind of that on the business case for all your representative companies. So where you see there, kind of that obviously got people more than 5. That's where kind of that we're quite interested, kind of that because yes, kind of that if you got more, then you can develop faster, quicker, different processes and activities.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks for the reply on that one. Okay, so the next question we've got here is, what do you think will be the most benefit for the use of HoloLens? And it's multi-choice: Skype calling, use of Microsoft applications, animation, stroke program, accessing documents, or other. So I'll launch that one. Skype calling, that's an interesting one. Can everybody see that? Yes.
Yep.
So we've got nothing in Skype calling, which is, yeah, okay, good. Small percentage in Microsoft applications, 50% animation and program, 16% accessing documents, 26% other. Just give that a second, close that out now, and there you go. Guys, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
be interesting to know the other side of things, that kind, because when we discussed the question, so if kind of obviously people want to sort of through Fear Tech or Comet to basically have them conversations, kind of what other benefits are, could be kind of something that we take away as a action from this webinar, and actually kind of having another call kind of to discuss the other applications which people are thinking about around the world at the moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from you. Anybody's got any suggestions, then get in touch. Okay, let me close that one up. And the next one is, what do you think is the value / time saved that we could have with the use of HoloLens? And this is multi-choice again. Is it 1 hour a week, 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, or more than 5 hours a week? Launch. Okay, interesting reply. Let's close that up. Share. Okay, 47% more than 5 hours a week. Interestingly, Harry, what figures were you getting on average?
So for us at the moment in time and that, we was getting around about 5 hours a week from a questionnaire that we had down at C530. I know kind of that through the Comet community, we basically sort of have the same kind of calculation for the use of mobile devices inside of the industry. And they put mobile devices at a benefit and a value of saving 3 hours a week. So it's interesting to see kind of that going from a mobile tablet of a saving of 3 hours a week up to kind of that more than 5 hours a week on wearable technology.
Yeah.
So are we saying now, because it's wearable technology, I'm not sort of holding a mobile device or tablet, that actually kind of that wearables is where we're going in the industry going forward?
Okay.
And that's an interesting one to take away.
Yeah, there's a few interesting questions coming in, which I'll do after this, but seem to be focused around support, training, cost, and everything. But we'll leave that for a few minutes. I know Vineet's on the call. Vineet, have you got anything to add to this? You're still you are still there, aren't you? Any observations on those polls? Vineet, can you hear me? No, we can't hear Vineet. Okay, no worries. Okay then. What I'll just do then is I'll just look at the questions that we've got coming in or that have arrived, Harry, if I may, and go through. Just give me 1 second. Oh, we've got quite a few questions that have arrived. Yeah, okay. So we've got one question here. This is from Wolfgang, and this is, what about EHS aspects? And I think dash helmet. So I think, is that down the route of environmental health and safety aspects with the helmet? I'm not sure what's meant by that, but is that sort of being able to use it safely on site? I think that's probably where that's aimed. Harry, do you see any issues with the use of the device?
Well, this is what Paco mentioned sort of earlier on. It's basically kind of that wearing the actual HoloLens unit with a hard hat does actually, the HoloLens sits kind of slightly above and that kind of that your actual head. So that's where kind of that, if we're talking to Microsoft at the moment in time and that, is obviously having a HoloLens unit which actually fits that kind of the hard hat.
Yeah.
And works together. So obviously that's something to go back to, whereas HoloLens is multi-industry use. You see a lot of it in medical at the moment in time on our YouTube channels and in universities for education.
Yeah.
But obviously with us in the construction industry, is obviously kind of that, hopefully Microsoft will listen kind of for that to us and actually see kind of, well, we need a HoloLens unit which fits kind of in that nicely and neatly kind of that with the HoloLens unit going forward. We have got around it by obviously introducing this chin strap and that kind of thing there, which obviously you can get with hard hats, just to keep the hard hat on your head when you start looking upwards, so it doesn't fall off the top of your head.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thanks for your question, Wolfgang. The next question I've got here is from Ranjith. Hello, Ranjith. How are you? The question is, did you face any problem with the field of view? The video shows recorded output. In the real world, was there any problem with the limited field of view in HoloLens?
Yeah, the field of view is 40 degrees, so it's one of the other things that they have to increase on the new release. Next year, I think it's going to be the HoloLens 3.0. Also, when on the daylight, it is too bright, you cannot see the model properly, so it works better in the overcast or inside. But yeah, this is one of the things they have to improve as well on the new release. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Ranjit. I've got another question here. Just bear with me 1 second. Goodness, jumping around a bit the screen. Okay, we've got limitations on the hardware, on the HoloLens hardware. Was it a stable 60 frames per second, and was it able to be achieved with the complex 3D models? That's from Vita. Harry, is that for you? Is that for Paco?
From what you can see kind of on the screen, Paco basically done 138 motion paths inside a Synchro for the smooth running of basically the lift process of all the beams.
Okay.
What you're seeing on the HoloLens isn't sped up, and that's what you're seeing kind of in that from the process to there. So going into more detail kind of for that in the 4D sequence will get you the better output to see kind of that on the actual HoloLens hardware. From the videos you've seen, that is basically direct recording from the HoloLens unit.
Yep. That's it.
So that's what you can actually achieve at the current moment in time.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Vito. Thanks for the reply, guys. The next question we've got is from Stefan Coate. Hello, Stefan. The question is, how do you make sure the models are displayed at the right location? Do you have some sort of initialization process that lets you align the model with the physical world?
So in the presentation kind of thing that we mentioned about that kind of that survey targets and survey principles, they are kind of that 2 targets kind of that, which are basically just A4 squares of paper printed out, but with kind of that obviously the numbers on the targets, just like what you do with a laser scanner, just like we do with a total station. But when you actually fire up the application, it will straight away ask you to verify 2 survey locations. So you go and look at survey location 1, it scans it and overlays the same size for the piece of paper on the HoloLens. Go to survey station 2, you stand there and stare at it. It will scan and that kind of thing, that the A4 piece of paper and that kind of that, which is in the model as well. And that's what coordinates you one-to-one in the real world with survey principles.
I have to add that this was the first test, and it was done by Synchro software. Now they have a better technology to do this. You can download the Synchro site app from the Windows Store, and it's easy to match to locate the site on the real site and with the model. So they have improved now this, and it's on the market.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I hope that's answered your question, Stefan. Next question we've got here is from Ranjith again. Thank you, Ranjith. Was there interaction with the 4D model during the implementation?
Sorry, say that again, Stuart.
Was there interaction with the 4D model during the implementation?
Yeah, at the moment in time on that, the 4D model which you saw is what's been uploaded into the Synchro, into the HoloLens headset. So we haven't done no extra work. All we've done is, so you've got your 4D sequence in Synchro, which Paco showed at the beginning. That's used in all our coordination meetings and our stakeholder engagement meetings. And all we've done is taken that same model and uploaded that through the Synchro, works package server onto the HoloLens unit. So we're not doing no duplication of any files. It's basically taking the file that we use in the office, in the software, and just uploading that into another media to view it out on site.
The HoloLens, at the end of the day, is a computer. It's a Windows 10 computer in front of you. So you can see documents, you can see your Outlook, you can see everything. It's like a computer.
Yes. Okay. I hope that has answered your question, Ranjit. Next question we've got. We're good for time. Is it possible to add comments, identify clashes, etc., using HoloLens? And that's from Yassine. Paco, is that for you? That question?
Yeah. Well, you as I said before, it's a computer, so you can whatever is available on the market on the Windows Store, you can put Navisworks or whatever in the HoloLens. You can detect classes. Also with Synchro, with the Synchro site app, you can use it potentially for class detection as well.
What we want to try and do is, it's a good question, is to basically try and look at that kind of thing. At the moment, we're augmenting or mixed reality the 3D design via Synchro in the real world. Could we take it one step further, that kind of that with Synchro, and basically adding in what you see in Synchro site mobile application and clicking on an object? So what Paco mentioned earlier on, the next phase you want to try and do is in a corridor, seeing all the M&E installation, clicking on a 3D model, and obviously that can weld is your oyster then, that could be clicking on that 3D model object and clicking on it to link to a document, click on it to basically say it's installed, clicking on it to basically give you various information and data from an online common data environment. Have we done that at the moment in time? And that, no, but obviously we've scoped that into the future bit at the moment in time, which Paco mentioned earlier on.
Right. I see. Good. Well, thank you for that. Okay, next question we've got here is, was the model hard-coded onto the application, or was it dynamic? Application downloads the model during the runtime, making the application independent of the model.
Synchro has how do you call this, a cloud. So you can put the models on the Synchro cloud, and it's automatically on the HoloLens. So you synchronize the PC, the cloud, and the HoloLens, and you can transfer files from one point to another point.
Okay.
That's where we don't want to be, in actually separating or making a copy of any files whatsoever.
Yes.
So with the processes, all the 3D models are on ProjectWise. They get imported from ProjectWise into Synchro. You add the P6, and from the slide which I showed earlier on, that gets uploaded kind of in the SWP cloud, Synchro cloud server, and then kind of can be accessed by the HoloLens unit through the Synchro app on the HoloLens.
Okay. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Paco. Next question we've got here is, and this is from Brant Fisher. Thank you, Brant. Do you educate your subcontractors in the applications and usage of the HoloLens for coordination? If so, how? And what is the impact on time and money? What are the challenges?
Well, at the moment, it was the first test, but we run this demo through the whole site on the FIFA 30, and everyone was very keen to this technology. Everyone wanted to see what is possible with this headset. So I think for the future, there will be definitely the subcontractors, they will use HoloLens, and designers, everything, everyone will use the HoloLens.
Yes.
I don't know whether people online have seen sort of one of the comment slides which Ian Skimming shows of the evolution, that kind of technology, where you had the large mobile phone back in the day, the mobile phone got smaller, then the tablet come out, and now we're looking at wearable technology. We're very much early kind of in that with the use of the HoloLens kind of in the market and available to the construction industry, but obviously developing multiple applications for all people, as Paco said, that come out the supply chain are really interested that kind of in the adoption of it and what it can bring to them. As I mentioned in the presentation, is actually getting standardized processes that kind of thing on the unit, and then we can look at large scale rollout kind of that going forward.
Yes, yes, indeed. Okay, thank you for that, guys. Next question again is from Brant. Is the use of Unity requires some software development knowledge from a coding standpoint? Do you have the in-house skills, or do you outsource this?
So at the moment in time inside of Balfour BT, we do have Unity experts kind of that inside of the business, inside of the team. But kind of that's where Synchro speciality come into it, and basically doing the scanning of survey targets and creating the actual application for the HoloLens unit. So it was kind of very much a team effort and collaborating with Synchro to develop this application kind of to get it out onto site.
Okay, thank you, Harry. I hope that's answered your question, Brent. Next question is from Peter Hewson. Did you notice any inaccuracies in the model's positioning as you stepped farther away from the survey points?
Thank you, Peter, for your question. At the moment in time, that kind of thing, because you're basically coordinated at one-to-one scale with them two targets, we didn't see much change in that kind of thing with the accuracy of the model. If you saw the validation and verification bit, we have gone through and done some cross-check door closed scenarios as the process has been placed, and you saw the beams being the beams were installed, and you saw the Synchro model laying directly on top of the beams. That's where kind of that, and obviously we were standing kind of at 10, 15 meters away kind of that from the targets. But yeah, but moving kind of that all the way through, you would have just like using a laser scanner, you'd have multiple survey targets out on site. And if I'm going into a different room or a different location, then I'll scan the survey targets again to get me better coordinated to the position that I am. So again, it comes down to survey principles at the end of the day. What you would do with a total station laser scanner, you'd want to do that with a HoloLens as well, until they get their GPS system uploaded onto the actual hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you for that. Next question, we've got another one from Brant. Thank you, Brant. Is the HoloLens view on site being coordinated in real time with team members? And if so, what does the workflow look like?
So there's two ways. Well, it's not being done at the moment in time, but could be done. One was obviously through the Skype calling, that kind as well. From what you're looking at from Skype calling, you can basically sort of see what you're looking at. But if you wanted to see the Synchro application and what you're actually looking at, there's two ways doing it. Do you want to see kind of that site to office without any Synchro? That can be done through Skype calling. I can call Paco back in the office via the HoloLens Skype application, and I can speak to Paco back in the office and show him what I'm looking at that way. With the Synchro side of things, what you can do is, if you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you can basically project your screen back to the office, but obviously you need to be on the same Wi-Fi network with the same IP address to make that actually happen. So trying to get the same IP address from an office kind of thing, such as in Woolwich, and the same IP address that comes from a Wi-Fi access point on site, that's a bit tricky to do at the moment in time.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question I've got here is it's a follow-up question actually from Vita, who asked earlier, and thanking you for the replies to his questions. Was the application, I think we've had the answer to this, was the application developed using the Unity engine? I think you've already said that. Did you mention that earlier? Was it developed entirely?
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
That was one of the questions from another participant kind of out on the webinar, kind of for that it was used kind of for that with the Unity side of things, but also kind of for that there was extra bespoke applications that were developed on top of it to basically cover the lack of GPS on the Microsoft HoloLens unit. Okay,
good. Thank you for that. And I've got one, in fact, I've got several more questions. Okay. The next question is from Yassine. Is the technology that we're seeing here is exclusive for use on HoloLens?
So exclusive use for HoloLens. Okay, so let's break this question down a bit. The only other applications or hardware you've got is the Zachary Smart Helmet. So this process which you've seen is purely for the HoloLens at the moment in time, but obviously there's other wearable technology such as a Zachary Smart Helmet, which people might correct me, and that kind of thing saying it, the field of view is even less than what the HoloLens actually is. When I've actually tried it a few months ago, I thought I got less field of view on the Zachary than what I got on the HoloLens, but I could be corrected on that.
Okay, thanks, Harry. And I got another question from Peter. Does the Synchro HoloLens app currently have support for more than 3 survey points?
So at the moment in time, that conference that we've basically put 2 just as sort of a resect and reference kind of way, but you could put in more survey points kind of if you needed and have the application. We've done 2 because we was very sort of tight on time scale to get it up and running before we installed the cast beams. So for development time, we are Synchro just to basically do 2. So I've got my forward shot and backward shot to basically get that coordinated. You could add 3 kind of that for full survey control, but 2 is enough for us for this application with the time scales of the development and that kind of thing that as well for us to achieve our best outcome.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Hope that answers your question, Peter. I've got one more question here, which largely centres around convincing the people, the individuals within the organisation, that this is a good way to go and will give a return for investment. How did you build a business case around this technology? What sort of hurdles or parameters were you set, and how did you overcome them?
So at the moment in time, that kind of thing, because we had my contribution, that kind of thing, sort of input, some of the digital ones come to me. So basically, one of our members of the team in Balfour Beatty kind of had the idea of that, of doing the seeing the utilities under the ground. And then kind of thing, I had a meeting kind of that with Synchro and that kind of thing as well to discuss various things, and the HoloLens come up. And we sort of developed the application from there, got agreed and that kind of thing, that cost for consultancy days, done a business case kind of thing, that because it was a high risk and high activity for Crossrail's program. It was on the critical path. So taking that to the project director, he was fully supportive kind of in the consultancy days to actually get this application off the ground. Since then, of what's happened down at Crossrail, one of our other schemes, one of our highway schemes on the A21 in Tunbridge, has done this same application for a footbridge being installed. And that was because the highways MD saw what we did down at Crossrail and he wanted a slice of the price as well. So because we've basically done one sort of case study, lots of other schemes now are wanting to adopt the same one. So now we've seen a snowball effect on the use of the HoloLens going forward.
Sure.
That's sort of our business case. We had support from one project manager. We come up with the process. We got the right people together in the room. And obviously we basically thrashed out all the different technology applications as well. We was also looking at the Trimble SketchUp, that kind of app for HoloLens as well. But again, kind of thing, that didn't have no GPS and that kind of thing, and the scanning targets. And Synchro basically said, oh, we can do that kind of thing and do that development on top of the Unity engine. That's who we opted for kind of thing and developing this application. So it did go through a what's called a racy chart on who we can partner with and who we can do stuff with. And that's where we come up kind of working with Synchro and developing this fantastic application, which everyone's interested in today.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you for the answers to the questions there. Some wonderful questions and quite on the mark questions as well. Thanks very much for the individuals that asked the questions. Oh, I think we've got one more question. Just bear with me a second. Are you all questioned out, Harry, or have you got room for another one?
I need a glass of water.
Okay, I've got another question here that's coming from Tim Devaney. What file formats are involved in producing this type of presentation? DGN in Project Wise, iModel question mark. How do you convert from DGN to animation to the format required by HoloLens?
So on that one there, kind of that, there's one of the slides sort of show you've got the Bentley DGN and iModel, you've got the Autodesk NWD and all that there, and then you've got sort of the Trimble SketchUp. We then need to basically import them into Synchro. So we can use kind of for that DWXF into Synchro, or kind of for that bringing kind of for that sort of NWD as well. What do you use, Paco, for importing models into Synchro?
Yes, Synchro. Synchro has the capability to import all kind of models, so it's very friendly for import all kind of 3D models. So you can import DGN, all the products, all the Autodesk products, SketchUp, and all kind of software. So just Synchro. You can use Synchro for produce this animation.
And then kind of that, obviously that will give you an SP file inside of Synchro, which then can be used on the SWP server to basically get into the HoloLens as well. But at the moment in time, that kind of we've got Unity in that process as well. So it's the SP file into Unity kind of that to develop the applications at the moment in time. So there are a few different file formats which needed that can be used and required. But obviously it's that having that Synchro SP file into Unity kind of that to deliver the applications where we are today.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. No more questions. I'll move on now just to close out. The forthcoming events, we've got the FearTech Leadership Forum coming up in Austin in October. Details on there. And of course, we've got the usual joining the conversation, social media. Like to hear from you, get in touch. We'll have the follow-up survey. The presentation from today will be shared in the next day or so once we've uploaded it. So it will be available to view again. If anybody's got any suggestions on future mobile IT communities that we may run, any suggestions, just give me a call, drop me a line. It'd be great to hear from you. I will say thank you to everybody joining us on the call today. Thanks to Harry and to Paco from Balfour Beatty, much appreciated. Some very insightful areas there that you've put with augmented reality. You've put it to good use. It's delivering benefits. Some very good questions today. Thanks everybody for getting involved. Thank you very much to Vineet for participating also. And we'll see you on the next call next month. So once again, thank you. Before I close out, anything else from Harry? Anything else from Paco?
No, thank you very much for that comment to FearTech and Comment for hosting sort of the meeting. And I look forward to engaging with the community kind of and stuff like that on the usage and further uses of HoloLens going forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you again soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.